Welcome back to News Around, the definitive archive of the emotions that drive the Turkish entertainment industry. Here, we do not simply read the headlines, we read the souls behind them. We are your sanctuary for truth, analysis, and the profound stories that often go untold. Today, we are dissecting a moment that has left the entire nation holding its breath, a moment of vulnerability so raw from Kerem Bürsin that it has rewritten the rules of celebrity breakups. We are exploring the weight of his words regarding Hande Erçel's new chapter, and the devastatingly quiet reaction it provoked on her film set. Before we unravel this tapestry of transformed love, we invite you to anchor yourself in our community. Please subscribe and activate the notification bell to witness history as it happens. And for those who value this depth of storytelling and wish to empower our investigative team, we strongly urge you to click the join button below. Your support is the lifeblood of News Around. Now, let us listen to the echoes of a love that refuses to fade. The entertainment industry is accustomed to scripted dramas, rehearsed lines, and carefully curated public personas. However, early this morning, the foundations of the Turkish tabloid world were shaken not by a scandal, but by a moment of piercing honesty. Kerem Bürsin, a man whose name has become synonymous with charisma and stoicism, decided to step out from behind the veil of silence. For the first time in months, he addressed the topic that has generated a whirlwind of theories, debates, and whispers in every cafe in Istanbul. Hande Erçel's new co-star in her upcoming audiovisual project, and by extension, the new romantic energy entering her life. The statement he delivered was surprising not merely for its content, but for its tone. Kerem, who has spent the better part of the last year avoiding any direct mention of men linked to Hande's name, a silence interpreted by many as respect, and by others as a lingering, unresolved pain, chose this morning to drop his guard. He spoke frankly, stripping away the metaphors and evasions that usually clutter celebrity interviews. He spoke like a man who is acutely aware that the eyes of the world are dissecting his every micro-expression, yet he still chose to reveal himself as human, vulnerable, and shockingly transparent. According to seasoned journalists present at the conference in Istanbul, the atmosphere in the room shifted the moment he took the stage. Kerem looked undeniably elegant, retaining the star power that defines him, but observers noted he was visibly more tired than usual. There was a weariness in his eyes, an expression suggesting that he had spent sleepless nights debating the wisdom of voicing the thoughts that were about to leave his lips. As the strobe lights of the cameras illuminated his face in a relentless rhythm, the actor calmly took the microphone. He took a breath so deep it seemed to rattle the stillness of the room, and with a sincerity that disarmed even the most cynical reporters, he uttered the phrase that has since dominated every social media algorithm: "If Hande is happy, I am too, but I won't lie, seeing him with her isn't easy." That single sentence, delivered with a quiet intensity, was enough to suck the oxygen out of the room. It was the confirmation that millions of fans, the Hanka army, had been waiting for, yet dreading. It was proof that despite the passage of time, the physical distance, and the divergent paths their careers have taken, Kerem still holds a sanctuary in his heart for the woman with whom he shared the most intense period of his life. As the interview progressed, moving beyond the initial shockwave, Kerem delved into the matter in an unexpectedly intimate way. He refused to hide behind the cliché of "we are just friends." Instead, he articulated a complex emotional reality. He acknowledged that while his romantic severance from Hande occurred a long time ago and that logic dictates they move on, emotional connections do not adhere to the linear progression of time. They do not disappear, they simply change shape, often painfully. "I'm not going to pretend I don't feel anything when I see her with someone new," he admitted, his gaze steady but melancholic. "We're human beings, not robots programmed to delete memories. We had a beautiful, sprawling story, and when you see someone you shared your soul with enter a new stage, of course it stirs things up inside. It creates a turbulence that you just have to ride out." His words resonated like a heavy echo of nostalgia through the hall. It was the first time the actor had publicly admitted that the emotional tether to Hande remains intact. Although he stopped short of declaring undying romantic intent, the subtext was deafening. He still admires her, he still respects her, and in a profound way, he still carries the ghost of their relationship within him. When the conversation inevitably turned to Hande's new partner, the man now standing where Kerem once stood, his response was a masterclass in diplomacy infused with emotional honesty. "He's talented, he's professional, and I know he'll do a great job with her," Kerem said, acknowledging the professional reality. "Hande has always shone and will continue to shine with any partner she has by her side. She has a light that makes whoever acts with her better. That's a fact." But then came the pause, a hesitation that spoke louder than the praise. He added, almost in a whisper, "I don't know if I'm ready to see them together on screen, at least not yet. But I respect her too much not to support whatever makes her career happy." This admission of not being ready to see her with someone else is perhaps the most human thing a celebrity has said this year. It strikes a chord with anyone who has ever had to watch an ex move on. We want to ask you, the heart of the Newsaround community, do you think Kerem was right to be this honest, or should he have kept that pain private? Is it a sign of weakness, or a sign of immense strength? Share your deepest thoughts in the comments below, and if you appreciate this level of emotional analysis, please hit the like button. That gentle yet devastating sentence opened a window into an inner world fraught with conflict. Kerem is evidently struggling between his professional pride, his enduring personal affection, and the silent, dull ache of watching life move on even when a part of you feels anchored in the past. Journalists present reported that at several points during the conference, Kerem seemed torn between maintaining his public composure and surrendering to a deeply suppressed emotion. His gaze would drift to the floor whenever Hande's name was mentioned, as if each syllable brought back a sensory memory he would rather not relive under the glare of the lights. And yet, he never shied away. He didn't deflect. He didn't deny the obvious. His sincerity humanized him in a way rarely seen in an industry built on smoke and mirrors. One reporter was overheard remarking, "It was like seeing a man who has learned to accept love, even in its most painful forms." The actor also felt compelled to clarify his stance on professional rivalry. He wanted to make it clear that he felt no petty jealousy toward the new actor. Projects change, people grow, and everyone deserves new opportunities. It's not a competition. "I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone," he asserted. But immediately afterward, he added a sentence that left the audience in absolute, reverent silence. "I just hope that whoever is by her side, on or off screen, takes care of her as she deserves. That's the only thing that really matters to me." That direct, protective statement unleashed a tidal wave of sentiment on social media. Millions of fans agreed that Kerem wasn't just speaking as a former colleague, but as a guardian, someone whose heart still holds a warm, protective watchtower for Hande. The most impactful moment, the crescendo of the event, came at the very end. A journalist, daring to cross the fine line between reporting and intrusion, asked him point-blank if he was still in love with Hande. The room held its breath, time seemed to suspend. Kerem smiled that characteristic, crooked half-smile of his, tilted his head as if listening to a melody only he could hear, and replied, "Love doesn't disappear. It transforms. And what transforms doesn't make it any less real." That poetic, ambiguous, and profoundly philosophical response sparked an explosion on social media that continues to reverberate to this hour. Many interpreted it as a confession that he still harbors romantic feelings. Others saw it as the wisdom of a man who has learned to love without possessing. He made it clear that his bond with her, although transformed from a blazing fire to a steady ember, remains alive in a complex, profound, and utterly human way. Perhaps they are no longer a couple, perhaps they no longer share a present, but their paths, in some inexplicable way, continue to intertwine every time one utters the other's name. But a story is never a monologue, it requires a reaction. And Hande Erçel's reaction to Kerem Bürsin's words quickly became the most talked-about topic of the afternoon. Sources close to the actress reveal that she did not expect Kerem to publicly express such a deep, intimate feelings that had been guarded behind a fortress of privacy for so long. That afternoon, Hande was on the set of her new project. The environment was chaotic, cameras rolling, directors shouting, the new partner rehearsing lines. During a break, inside the sanctuary of her trailer, her manager showed her the full video of the press conference. Witnesses described a scene straight out of a romantic cinema verite masterpiece, tinged with melancholy. Hande, seated in front of the monitor, her makeup slightly worn from hours of filming under hot lights, remained completely still. She did not speak. Her gaze was fixed on the small screen as Kerem's words, filled with nostalgia, respect, and that unusual vulnerability, echoed in the silence of the dressing room. As she watched him struggle to articulate his feelings, as she heard him admit that seeing her with another man was not easy, the atmosphere in the room grew heavy. But when he uttered that final line, "Love doesn't disappear, it transforms," a shift occurred. According to those present, a different kind of light appeared in the actress's beautiful eyes. It was a light that mixed surprise with a restrained emotion, a sudden pang of longing that she tried, unsuccessfully, to conceal. She didn't cry dramatically, but her silence was louder than any sob. It was the silence of a woman realizing that she is still deeply known, still deeply valued, and still deeply loved by the man she left behind. And so, while Hande's new partner prepares to face the public scrutiny that will inevitably follow these statements, Kerem has drawn a line in the sand. He has defined their history not as a tragedy, but as a transformation. Kerem Bürsin has laid his heart on the table, proving that true connection survives the end of a relationship. Hande Erçel has received that message in the quiet of her dressing room, a moment of shared humanity amidst the chaos of fame. This is not just gossip, this is the story of two people navigating the complex geography of the heart. What do you think this means for their future? Does transformed love ever turn back into romance? We want your predictions. We are News Around, and we exist to tell these stories with the dignity they deserve. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. For our most dedicated viewers, we remind you that the join button is your gateway to supporting us and ensuring we can keep bringing you these exclusive narratives. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, remember, love may change, but it never truly disappears.